Now, we're starting this morning with a story that's in all the papers today. British socialite and ex-girlfriend of convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking of underage girls. She's accused of assisting disgraced billionaire Epstein in abusing minors by helping to groom victims known to be underage.
Well, let's discuss this story further. We've got lawyer Lisa Bloom. Lisa represents a number of women who allege they were abused by Epstein. And in just a moment, we're also going to get the view of the media lawyer, Mark Stevens, about what this new development means for Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew, of course, a long-time friend of Miss Maxwell. Lisa Bloom, first of all, good morning to you. Very good to have you on board here. Epstein is gone. This is significant now, is it not, with Ghislaine Maxwell? Because now we've got someone who can talk and who has charges to face and therefore stories to tell, one would have thought.
This is a monumental development because Jeffrey Epstein is accused by so many girls and young women of abuse, and he did not act alone. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell was a good friend of his for many years. She was with him constantly over a period of decades. And the question is, what was her involvement in facilitating, procuring, and recruiting these girls ultimately to be abused? I represent one of them. She was very pleased yesterday to hear about this arrest, finally, but also still very much in fear of Ghislaine Maxwell and the entire enterprise.
But it isn't just about Ghislaine Maxwell, isn't it? Because the interesting thing is it's who she can implicate, perhaps who she might be able to implicate, and what sort of deal or plea bargain she may well be offered.
That's always a significant part of these type of prosecutions. Does Ghislaine have information about somebody who was higher up in this hierarchy of abuse? Somebody who's an even bigger name. Now, she's pretty big all on her own because she is accused by so many girls of being implicated in this abuse. But we know, for example, that she was also very friendly with Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew has been somebody that the U.S. authorities have wanted to speak to over the last few months. And the U.S. authorities say that he has not done that. Can she give up information on somebody who is a big name? Well, that remains to be seen.
Let's go to Mark Stevens now on this situation. And Lisa brought up the name that is on everyone's lips, Prince Andrew. And this Prince Andrew always categorically denying any wrongdoing in all of this. Now, the American prosecutors, they want to speak to him. His people are saying, as I understand it, Mark, we'll make a written submission. But they want more than that. They want to talk to him. Why do they want to talk to him?
Well, I think that what's going on here is that the feds are desperately trying to get Andrew to come to America to do a face-to-face interview. What their approach to this has been highly unusual. They're not treating him like any ordinary suspect or indeed witness. They've broken their own rules on privacy 3 times. You'll remember that infamous press conference that was given on the steps of the empty Epstein home in the Upper West Side. And so I think it's an important issue that what they're actually doing is putting strategic pressure on him to come. And it's really quite unusual that they would not ask what we call, as lawyers, interrogatories. That is, written questions, written answers on oath. And it's really doing a disservice to many of the survivors of Epstein's abuse because they should be gathering the evidence as quickly as they can. Obviously, gathering evidence in a written form doesn't preclude you actually later having a face-to-face interview. And in fact, it may make your case to cross-examine him about the evidence he knows or doesn't know. And it may give you the possibility to impeach him because you can research all of the statements that have been made. So I really do think this is a kind of trap that has been set for Prince Andrew. because they know they can't extradite him to the US. He has immunity as a prince of this country. What they're trying to do, I think, is to get him over voluntarily, and then if they think they've got enough evidence, charge him there. That seems to be the game they're playing.
Lisa, Mark Stevens is saying they're not treating Prince Andrew like an ordinary witness. But the thing is, he's not an ordinary witness. And there is... Mark's advice would be, you know, Prince Andrew has been advised well, he's been advised correctly, and he should stick to written submissions. What way do you see that situation?
No, absolutely not. I'm a trial lawyer myself. Giving somebody questions in writing when they can then sit down with their lawyer, write out every word, edit it, spin the facts, is no substitution for the way a real investigation goes, which is a face-to-face, or I would say video should be okay in this age of COVID, opportunity to ask somebody questions and look at his demeanor and follow up. We saw Prince Andrew's interview, and in particular, how concerning his demeanor was in that interview. And nobody should be above the law, whether you are a prince or an everyday person. If you have information about a pending investigation, you should answer questions and cooperate, not hide behind your lawyers, not hide behind written questions. It simply doesn't work that way in a typical investigation.
The thing is, Mark, though, with the arrest of Ms. Maxwell now, this is just not going to go away for Prince Andrew. So I suppose there's only so long that he can stick to the advice. They're looking for him as a witness, no more than that. Would it not look better for him if he carried that out, if he complied?
Yeah, I think it probably would look better from a PR perspective, but actually we're dealing with very serious criminal charges. And I think, you know, obviously he's innocent. He's made strenuous denials of any wrongdoing. But as far as the feds are concerned, I think they've got him down as a target. And I think that's why he's behaving in the way he is. That's why he's being advised in the way he is. I mean, I represented a Weinstein survivor, and, you know, the US prosecutors from New York came over to London with law enforcement, and they were interviewed at a police station in London. That hasn't happened in this case. That's unusual. But going back to the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell, this is really significant, because if you look at the period for the alleged offences, it's from 1991 to 1997. Now, the offence that they're looking at around Prince Andrew, the investigation, dates to 2001 with Virginia Giuffre Roberts. And as a consequence of that, what they're doing is piling enormous pressure on Ghislaine Maxwell to turn prosecution evidence. They're making a very strong case that she shouldn't have bail, even though she's not been a flight risk to date. And in those circumstances, if, as she is, facing effectively a lifetime in jail, why wouldn't you try and cut a plea deal? You would try and get a reduced sentence. And if that means bringing down some rich and powerful men, some of whom have been named and will be innocent, but some of whom are going to be found to be very guilty, then in those circumstances, I think that's the pressure that they're putting on Ghislaine Maxwell. And let's just hope that she survives next week and doesn't unfortunately meet an accident.
Oh, well, Lisa Bloom, the indictment states that she assisted, facilitated and contributed to Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls. What are the odds, do you think, that she will strike a deal and she will talk?
95% of cases end in a plea bargain, so that's always highly likely. I do think that bail should be denied for Ghislaine Maxwell, just as it was denied for Jeffrey Epstein. She has 3 passports. She has over $20 million, according to prosecutors. And she has been living in various locations and hiding, and living in the most recent house where she was caught under the name of a corporation because she was trying to hide. So this is somebody who I think does pose a serious flight risk. And from the point of view of the victims who I represent, it is time for justice. It is time for these wealthy and powerful people to stop hiding, to stop running, and to actually have to face accountability. And I certainly hope that the jail officials will be more careful in keeping an eye on her than they were with Jeffrey Epstein, who was allowed to escape justice by taking his own life.
What effect has that Netflix documentary, Lisa Bloom, will it have on proceedings? Because there was a very strong story put out there. I mean, obviously, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's denied any wrongdoing, and most people involved in this have denied any wrongdoing. But what was the effect of that documentary?
I agree. I watched it. I thought it was very powerful. My clients and I cooperated with Netflix. And I think it really does tell the story in a very compelling way. But ultimately, in a legal case, it's going to come down to evidence and witnesses. And I applaud the 3 victims who are named anonymously in this indictment. I'm sure that the prosecutors worked with them to make sure that their stories were corroborated. It may have been back in the 1990s, but I can tell you, if you are a victim of child sexual abuse, it stays with you for a lifetime. And that's why we have extended time periods to file these types of cases. The clients who I work with say that every day they have to live with the post-traumatic stress of what happened to them. So they're very pleased that this arrest has happened and that it's going forward.
Lisa Bloom, thank you very much indeed. Lisa Bloom is an American lawyer. She represents 6 of Epstein's alleged victims, and Mark Stevens is a media lawyer. Thank you both very much for your time and your perspective today.